Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Things Brunswick. I feel like we've been going forever. And I hope that our audience will forgive us for we did not abandon you. We just had some personal issues to take care of, and we're back. And so before we go any further, I have to ask my co-host, who helps me a great deal, say hello, Todd Osborne, and our tech, who puts up with my stuff, and I don't know how he's so patient. TK, we couldn't do it without you, TK. And our very special guest tonight, one of my favorite people, always has been, Representative Frank Iler. Thank you, Frank, so much for coming.
It's good to be here.
And we'll just go right into it. First of all, I would like to say if you hear some background noise, it's because we are at the Brunswick County Republican headquarters. We are doing the show here, and there is a little bit of noise in the background from folks that are coming in to buy shirts and glasses and pick up signs and literature. And folks, the building is open on Tuesdays and Saturdays from 10 to 3. When early voting starts, it will be open 7 days a week. So do stop by, say hello. Any questions, we can help you out. And on that note, we will get right to Representative Iler. And I hope that you can give us a little bit of information on the folks in the western part of our state, Frank. I know that they are going through a great deal.
I'll be glad to. Thank you, Mary. Just got an update, 10 o'clock, from the State Emergency Management Chief of Staff by a Zoom meeting, and gave us some facts. I also had a conversation with DOT, so I've got a little more information about the roads in western North Carolina. But a couple of things that the Chief of Staff at Emergency Management in Raleigh, a couple of things points he made, about half a dozen points here, that FEMA is already on the ground. That's federal, of course.
Good.
And they have the ability, due to the state of emergency, this national, it's federal and state, declared by the governor, they can authorize direct deposits. So that'll get money to people pretty quickly.
Oh, that's great.
The physical issues are a little bit different from that. Money's okay, but if there's nothing to buy, it doesn't matter. So he said overnight there were 13 truckloads of MREs, 5 truckloads of water, and many more on the way over to the west. He said that there were 22 acute care hospitals on generators. There are now 21 back on power out of 22.
That's great.
Yeah, that's terrific. He said there are 38 fatalities so far, but he also said there's 24 North Carolina search and rescue crews and 13 out-of-state rescue crews still looking for people. So they're missing people in addition to that. Utilities, there are 7,000 crews from 18 states. DOT reported, and I talked to our division engineer who's on top of all this. I did not talk to the mountain engineer, but this is our local guy, but he's up to date on everything going on over there. It's 400 roads have been closed.
Oh, my goodness.
I-40 is still closed, and it's devastated at the Tennessee state line. I-26 to Asheville is now open. And let's see if I've got any other tidbits here. The state is involved. This is still with DOT. State DOT is involved with debris management and rescue operations also. And a business that wants to see what they can do can go to, by the way, 15 counties have their EOC, or Emergency Operations Centers, active. 15 counties in the West. And if anybody wants to check in and see what the businesses can do, there's a business EOC. It's beoc@ncdps.gov. Of course, DPS is Department of Public Safety.
Right.
And said DOT has 90% of their drones are out surveying the debris. See how big the debris fields are. They're taking care of debris already. They're getting supplies to their employees' families, and they're assessing what else has to be done, which is going to be huge. So that's all I've got at this point. But that is up to date as of this morning.
Right. I assume that the water has not receded yet, right?
They still had a lot of flooding, and obviously on the interstates and the mountains they had mudslides and things like that, and
Right.
collapsed roads. You see,
Yeah.
and bridges
Yeah.
just collapsed, just like we saw in Boiler Spring Lakes here
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So they really have not been able to see all of the damage yet because they still have a lot of water. Is that right?
There are communities that are not even accessible yet.
Wow.
They're cut off from the rest of the world.
Good grief. That's incredible.
They are using drones to get in, but that doesn't rescue people. It just tells them how
Yeah.
bad
Where
the
they
debris
might
is.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And by the way, National Guard
Right.
has gone in, and I heard there's 400. Now I heard there's 800, and there's the congressmen out there are requesting a few more because there's 28 counties, 24, 28 counties have been affected out there.
Good grief. Well, it's my understanding that Asheville is in real bad shape. So, and there was a small community that is no longer, Chimney Rock.
Chimney Rock is now sitting in Lake Lure.
Oh
All of
my
downtown
gosh.
Chimney Rock was
That is
just
so sad.
decimated.
Yeah, I heard Lake Lure was about gone,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
town.
They thought that they were going to lose the dam, but I believe it held.
Now, I
Oh,
heard there's no
that's so
dam
sad.
breaches yet, but
Yeah, that's
it still didn't stop the flooding.
our cabin was on Fontana Lake, which is just west of Bryson City,
Right?
and right now you can't get to that area because none of the roads are passable.
So, how far up I-40 can you get before it's closed?
I don't know that. They said it's open.
Up to about Marion, they're not letting anyone other than first
see.
responders in and recovery crews pass that.
I'm sorry.
Once they get into Asheville.
40 is closed, and particularly at the Tennessee line, but on this side, I'm not sure.
It's about Marion.
Around
Just before you get to
Marion.
Marion, Black Mountain,
Okay.
that area, they're
Okay.
diverting people off because they
Right.
don't want people going into
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this closed before you get to Asheville.
Yeah.
Black Mountain.
Yeah.
And,
I think, folks, if you want to help, if you want to give, I would contact my local law enforcement. They can give you a specific way to contribute to this emergency. I know a couple of people that sent water, and they went through their local PD to find a place to send it. So I would suggest that you do that should you want to give. Or the sheriff's office here in Brunswick County. Our sheriff, Brian Chisholm, is over there helping where he can. And we also have first responders who have left Brunswick County to go there and help. And we have a few from New Hanover who have left to go over there. So everybody's pitching in.
I'm sure Brunswick Electric has sent some crews over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
One other place I was notified this morning, it's out on social media, Shallotte Electric in Shallotte and in Southport, and their store, Beach Hardware, on I-79 in Ocean Isle Beach, are collecting things.
Okay,
And every
okay.
time they get a truckload, they're going to send it.
Uh-huh.
And I also heard this morning, be sure whoever's doing that locally is in touch with people there to see where they can get it in and get distributed.
Right.
But I'm sure, knowing the people, the Millikins at Charlotte Electric, I'm sure they're in touch.
Yeah.
And if
with
you're
people.
one of the people trying to coordinate that, be patient because the contacts there, it's very difficult to get a hold of them. They have very limited communications. So I know trying to help get some of the equipment up there and everything, getting people on the phone to get coordinated as to where they want it and stuff like that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's no different with the supplies.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe you can go through that website, beoc@ncdps.gov, and get some help with that type of thing. I believe.
Right. Yep.
That's the contact for businesses that want to help, I believe. Yeah.
Well, please say a prayer for our neighbors in the western part of North Carolina who are going through this very difficult time. And thank you for that update, Frank. We appreciate it. How about if we go on to another important issue? The fact that you are a candidate in this upcoming election. I'm going to just let you talk about what you wish in that respect.
Well, my overall theme, I don't know my opponent. I don't know what his business has been or what he's doing. He's a middle-aged family man, I've been told, and a nice guy, but I don't even know my opponent. But my overall theme is experience matters. I know this gentleman doesn't have a record of any kind, and we do have a record since we got the majority in 2011 of economic freedom, and they're kind of for government control, and we've lowered taxes. Your income tax rate's gone from a high of 7.25 in the state down to 3.99 at flat rate.
Wow.
Your business tax, all businesses, including small business, has gone from 5% to 2.5. Now, that's been over a period of years, and it's scheduled to go on down. So someday we may be like Florida or Texas and some Tennessee that have a zero income tax rate. So that's, we believe in low prices, low inflation. A few years ago, President Trump had inflation at about 1.4. The following year, when he lost that election, it went to 9%. The overall inflation has been over 20% in the 4 years that some other folks have been in charge.
You're
and
so
I-
nice.
If I hold it to the camera, you'll get a postcard that looks like that pretty soon. And on the back of it, it's got a clear choice. And besides prices and taxes and inflation on the low side, and they want all that on the high side, I believe in secure borders and safety. We've outlawed sanctuary cities, and I understand that they want open borders and crime, that we want secure borders and safety. We want honest elections with voter ID. We passed it 3 times. It finally got in the Constitution. We finally got it out of court and into your hands this election. They want illegal aliens to vote, and they oppose voter ID. That's the party of my opponent, who I don't know what he stands for, but his party stands for these things. Mm-hmm. Education, we believe in students and parents having choice. We believe in school safety. My colleague Charlie Miller started our school safety program, and he's been fantastic as a go-to person in the House on schools, law enforcement, and school safety. They want no school choice, and they want to defund charter schools, and they want to take the resource officers out of schools.
Oh, that's insane.
And again, that's what his party says. Like I said, I don't know anything about him at this point. We defend law enforcement. We pass many law and order laws, increasing penalties for really bad things. And they want to defund and criticize the police. They've showed that over the last, since the 2020.
Yes.
Personal and family safety, being able to secure your home, Second Amendment rights, and to be able to own a legal weapon. They want to confiscate legal weapons. They want to arrest them, and that's the next step is knock on your door and have a reason they want to confiscate it without any due process, of course. Mm-hmm. I believe in free enterprise. I'm pro-business. I was a small business owner in my career. I had about a 40-plus year business career, large and small, but I did have a small business for a while. They're supporting a 28% federal business tax, taxing your 401k, and even if you make a gain, or anybody that's investing your money makes a gain, you're going to pay taxes whether or not you actually get money if you don't sell
goodness.
it.
The unrealized gains.
Unrealized gains, they call it. And you don't have to be a CPA or an economic expert to know that's crazy. So, and they want to increase business taxes for sure. And how many businesses do you think actually pay taxes without passing it on to you, the consumer?
That's right.
They can't stay in business if they don't pass it on to somebody. So that's another tax on you. Inflation plus taxes. I'm sure that that registers with about 99% of our families.
Goodness.
And that's really the main comparisons I've got. There are a lot of lies going around about abortion bans and all that sort of thing, and I'm not getting into that, but there's no stomach for, no pun intended, for an abortion ban, total ban on abortions. But it needs to be some common sense, partial birth abortions, and even letting babies die after they're born, which occurs in some states, Virginia and Wisconsin for two. That's, I'm sorry, that's murder.
Yeah.
It really
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we passed a law, and I think it got passed or vetoed, that if a human is born alive, surviving an abortion or for any reason, they get the same medical
Yes.
advantages of any other human being. Period.
Yep. Absolutely, I agree.
The other thing the other side is doing is they're regulating us to death. A certain amount of regulations is good, but you can go too far, and it started stifling businesses and all. And we're seeing a lot of that down here because businesses are actually going under.
So
because of
give
regulation.
us some particulars, Todd.
Well, we've had where you can't use certain parts of your land
For what?
for businesses, even though it's in a commercial zoning. They're restricting
see.
some of that. They're wanting to put heavier taxes, not based on income, but on the type of business.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah,
hadn't heard
that makes
that.
about as much sense as the unrealized capital gains tax. That everybody in Brunswick County who's owned their house more than 5 years has unrealized gains in their property. And so now they're going to turn around and say, oh, we're going to tax that.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't sell your house, they want to tax it. Well, a lot of times our small businesses, that's how they get started. They borrow on their homes.
Yeah.
They use that equity line. But the way the leftists are wanting to do this, they're wanting you to borrow on your home to pay your taxes.
Goodness.
So you're stifling people from being able to grow.
And you're deeper in debt.
Yeah. And the whole purpose for the 14th Amendment is so people can own property and use their property. That's how you build wealth.
Right.
You know, my wife and I started out, she was in college and I was working 2 jobs and she worked a full-time job. We lived in a single wide.
Yep. I think we've all
We've-
been there and done
You know,
that.
but that's part of the process. That's part of the American dream. You work your way up.
Yeah.
And those things are being stopped. The
Yeah.
inflation is killing us.
I know.
Yeah, my first introduction to that, I was selling food in Goldsboro. Before I got here 25 years ago, I was in Goldsboro. I was selling food in this country club there, golf club. It had been a farm. And the guy that owned it, a very prominent citizen, very hardworking guy in Goldsboro, his mother died, and there was an estate tax. And we're against estate taxes. We call it a death tax.
Yep.
Because he had turned that into a valuable golf course, and he couldn't afford to pay the taxes. You know, the state couldn't afford to pay the taxes because his mama wasn't rich. You know, they were making their whatever profit they made, but it wasn't enough to pay the taxes. $1 million or whatever it was. He didn't have $1 million. He finally was able to settle that, I think, and it's still there. but it's a very popular golf course, open to the public. It's a big. There's not a lot of recreational opportunities around Goldsboro, but that was one of them. But the main thing is that he almost had to sell it to somebody or go out of business. You know.
I've heard so many horror stories, and on that thought, we need to take a little break and pay some bills. So please stay with us. Our guest today is Frank Iler. We'll be right back. What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law. Dana Varnum has worked as Assistant Register of Deeds since 2001. She is certified in every area of this office. She has graciously met the needs of her customers, which include from attorneys to the business community. Knowledge and experience are important to safeguard the vital records of our county. She believes in an open door policy for the public to voice their concerns. As Brunswick County continues to grow, the Register of Deeds office is directly involved in this growth. Dana is certified in deeds, deeds of trust, surveys, and passport manager, to name a few. To learn more about Dana, go to her Facebook page at Dana Varnum for Register of Deeds. She is a candidate who combines experience, education, and community commitment to this position. Vote Dana Varnum, Register of Deeds.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, folks, to All Things Brunswick. Today, our guest is Representative Frank Iler. For you folks who aren't familiar with Mr. Iler, he is a local guy, been that way for about 25 years, and I'm going to let him give you a little idea of his background.
Well, where do I start? I was born. I was born in the deep South, deeper than North Carolina, and I got here as quick as I could in high school. At age 14, went to high school in Greensboro. In fact, it was so long ago they already changed the name of the school. But a lot of young people went to the same school with a different name. But anyway, I left there and I got a 4-year degree at Campbell. One of the first 4-year degrees once they became a 4-year school. So I'm dating myself a little bit, but
That's okay.
I refuse to act my age. How about that? I went through a marriage and divorce, and my second wife was an English teacher, and she improved my English quite a bit while we were married.
And a lovely, lovely lady.
She wanted to retire to Oak Island. When it was actually Long Beach. And
Right.
a month after we moved, it became Oak Island
Yep.
by law in 1999. So I've been here a little over 25 years. Lost her in 14, sold the house in 19 on Oak Island, moved to a condo in Calabash. I traded a beach for a golf course venue. So it's not all bad. But she had 15 good years, and then I had 20 over there, and I've had 5 down in the different part of the county. I had a 40-year career in business, went from accounting to operations with Hardee's Food Systems home office, in their budgets and their operations and their marketing. And then I liked that marketing idea, so I went out and got a Bojangles franchise for a few years, and then brought in some partners, and that didn't work out wonderfully. So I went my way and started selling food, and did pretty well with that. So had a varied career. I couldn't keep a job until we got into politics, I guess you'd say. But I was always a guy that took off a day of vacation on election day, and there was one election day back then. I took off a day of vacation, put up somebody's sign, and passed out their cards, Ronald Reagan or somebody like that, and worked with the party, the Republican Party. I've been a Republican since I registered to vote. And I had to wait till I was 21 to register to vote. They changed the law
Yes.
way long time ago. But in fact, they looked at me funny even in Greensboro when I said I won't be a Republican. But in these days, things have changed. And then we got here, and a lot of Democrats around, and not too partisan because I work with everybody, particularly in Raleigh. And but things have changed. People that have been here saw a different party, and they said, well, we kind of like Republicans, limited government, lower taxes, and so forth. And the newcomers are leaving their politics behind in California and New York and places, and coming here for a little bit better political atmosphere.
Yep.
So we've been able to be successful. I hate to tell how many times I've run, but experience matters. All right. I was appointed in 2009 when Bonner Stiller stepped down. The party sent me to Raleigh. I had to run 7 times. Every 2 years we run, and I'm up for my 8th general election in November.
Before you go any further,
Yeah.
I would like the audience to know Frank was the chairman of the Brunswick County Republican Party. And during his 3 years as chairman, he did some remarkable things. And one of those things being introducing to everyone the slate card. Now, the slate card is a tool that we use at election time, and it is incredible. I mean, it is so easy for anyone to go to vote because they're allowed to take the slate card with them. This card has all of the Republican candidates on it, and I'm sure that the other parties might do the same. But for somebody like myself, I'm not real familiar at times. I am now, but didn't used to be, the conservative judges. And it's very important that we have conservative judges. This slate card will tell you exactly who they are. And so for that, I thank you, Frank, because that was a remarkable invention.
Well, let me say something about that, because I went to a seminar put on by North Carolina Republicans in Wilmington that talked about a slate card. I said, what's a slate card? And I explained it's got all the Republican candidates, and you can put the conservative judges on there.
Yep.
Then I found, and when I became chairman shortly after that, I found out that the judges didn't have the party, and it was,
Right.
we could figure out who they were because they were registered one way
Yep.
or another, and they didn't have the party on there. I got to Raleigh, and we started asking the question, what happened with that? And the Democrats had taken the party off of it because they started losing
Right.
because of that.
Yep.
And then we started letting people know who the conservative judges were on the back of our card. But this card goes right down the ballot.
Yes.
And we printed 50,000 the first year, and I had to get all the candidates to chip in because it was $1,500. Now we spend a lot mailing them out and passing them out. So, and it's a real centerpiece of
And
our
they're more
of our election.
expensive.
and they've gotten more expensive. But it's in red, white, and blue. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And it goes right down the ballot. Now we're telling people, since a lot of people don't go to the bottom of the ballot, and it's like a 20% drop off sometimes, because they don't know the people at the bottom of the ballot. They come in and vote for president or governor or
Yep.
maybe one of us. Then they go down the ballot. So I don't know these people. What's the register of deeds? You know, and so it tells you who the Republican is, and you can decide whether or not to vote for them. And even if they're unopposed, they'll be on there and they'll be on your ballot.
Right.
And our judges, a lot of the local judges, aren't opposed, but they'll still be on there. But we passed a law putting the R's and D's back on the ballot
Yep.
to give people at least that much information, and to say, well, you know, we don't want it partisan. Well, you don't want people not knowing who they're voting for,
Exactly.
and 20% of the people don't even try. So that's
And it's
I think-
very important that you vote the entire ballot.
the entire ballot.
My suggestion to you is turn it over. Start on the back
bottom.
side. Yeah.
Yep.
Start on the
Go
bottom on the
backwards.
back side, and that way you'll just go to the beginning and there'll be no question.
There you go.
Yep.
But that's a handy guide. Yeah, I love working the polls and offering somebody a slate card, and they pull one out of their pocket. I've already got mine,
Yep.
and they're walking in with it.
Yep.
You can take anything like that into the polling place except a sample ballot looks like the one published by the Board of Elections. It's been marked. You cannot take that in because it looks like it's from the Board of Elections.
Right.
So I learned that when I was chairman.
Yeah.
And somebody, I want to put a plug in for our Board of Elections.
Oh,
I started
yes.
working with them when I was chairman 18 years ago. And so, and the number 2 young lady is now the director.
Yes.
And we got one of the best. She was the president of the whole state of
She is
of
the
county.
best.
And people have concerns about the election. And I can tell you the biggest concern I've got, and we tried to fix that, got vetoed, but the governor appoints the State Board of Elections.
Yes.
It's always a majority of his party, and he appoints every county Board of Elections, and that's always a majority of his party. So if you want to vote for the Democrat governor again and have a Democrat majority on the Board of Elections and so forth,
And go for it.
yeah, well, you know, it's still a free country so far. So you can do that. But even if you don't love the candidate in the position, it's been nominated and a bunch of rumors and or lies about him, vote for the position so that if he's replaced, at least the party gets to choose, and that governor can appoint the Board of Elections.
Exactly.
And that gives us, we think,
Yeah.
a better opportunity to have a fair election.
Well, there are many, many reasons to vote the right way, and thank you, Frank. That is one of the top reasons. So, one other thing that I just want to express, and Representative Iler has a very good reputation with his coworkers. I actually was in a conversation with a gentleman from the House of Representatives that you might know. His first name is Tim. And we were talking one day about, and I don't know how Frank's name came up, but I was told that when people get up to talk in the House, it's usually a good time for everybody to grab a drink or a snack or go to the bathroom or whatever, but not with Frank. Whenever Frank got up to speak, nobody moved and everybody listened. So that's quite a compliment, sir, but I can see where it comes from.
Well,
And,
I had a lot of good mentors when I first got there. And one of the things they tell you, you don't have to apologize for what you don't say. and if you're going to say something, be sure that if people don't like it, that all your colleagues will get painted with the same brush.
Right.
So I don't talk a lot, but I try to chime in when I think it's important, particularly to our district. Charlie Miller has a bill or whatever, or people that I respect highly, and I think it's going to be really important to our area. Then I'll have something to say.
Well-
To be sure people know I'm supporting the bill.
Yeah.
And
Well, everybody wants to hear what you have to say, so you must do it in a very good way.
okay, well,
Okay, I think that Todd has an issue that he would like to discuss.
They mentioned it about a year ago, said that they were going to discuss it, and it kind of died. And that's HOAs, because they've kind of gotten out of control.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
one thing when you buy your house in a neighborhood and they have an HOA and you agree to certain guidelines and all, and then we get what they call a Karen becomes the HOA president, and all of a sudden any property rights that you thought you had, she's going to take them away.
Yeah.
And that's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. They're almost like their own little mini government, and if they want to be tyrants, they can do so. I mean, is anything going to be done about that?
Yes. That's a short answer.
That's a good thing.
Here's a little background. This past session, we have a 2-year session, 23-24. We're going to have another one, 25-26. All right. There's 14,000 HOAs in North Carolina. Almost 3 million people live in HOAs. They become like a mini government. There's only 2,000 towns, and there's 14,000 HOAs. So it's like a mini government. They do have certain things that you've agreed to, but when they start jeopardizing your private property rights, it becomes a problem. So they want everything to look nice. When the guy wants to paint his house the same color it's always been, and they say no, that's a little ridiculous. If a lady in Wilmington has her trellis screening a single lady screening her bathroom, and the wind blows it down, and she's told she can't replace it, that's a little ridiculous. And then they come along and say, well, it's higher than the fence. And after she complains long enough, they put up a new fence. I mean, so it seemed like they could work that out before everybody has to go through a lot of discussion or go to court. And all we've been able to do in the past is say, get a lawyer. All right? We want to change that. A Democrat came up with the idea from Charlotte, a young lady in Yalu, Chinese heritage, sponsored a bill, House Bill 542, and got 3 Republicans to co-sponsor it with us, or to primary sponsor it, and then a bunch of co-sponsors. But myself and Representative Tyson and one other Republican co-sponsored it with her, and we passed it 114-0 in the House. Simple things like more accountability, a vote before you have a dues increase of a certain percentage, document availability, that sort of thing. Now, one size doesn't fit all. We got 2,000 in some of our neighborhoods. We got one building in Brunswick County with 6 condos with seniors living in them, and their HOA probably doesn't have the records that the one with the 2,000. So there's got to be some limits on what size. But those simple things went over in our short bill, 114-0 to the Senate. Well, a senator or two over there had some great ideas, and they loaded our bill up with their great ideas. I'm not being facetious; they were good ideas. Some I was told may be unconstitutional, but we'll give it a shot. But they took out some of the good things we had, and so when it passed 44-0 in the Senate, and it was their bill at that point. Came back. And we have to have the same bill to vote on. And so we could either concur with that bill and it was done, or we could not concur and go negotiate to get the bill the same. We said not concur, and that was almost unanimous. Went to a conference committee, and the senators were ready to meet. And some of my colleagues said, well, we're in the short session now, and this was after we had a interim committee talking about HOAs also. We're in the short session, so maybe that's a long session issue, which will be next year. In the meantime, we had a select committee, which I co-chaired, and had a lot of public input, and then we came up with a bill 959. And I kind of put that on hold since I was the main primary, and I also had Democrat support on that. It's a bipartisan issue. I mean, it really is across the state. I've got just as many letters in my 6-inch thick file of complaints. I've got just as many letters from Democrats as I have Republicans. I don't check the party on most of them. But anyway, a lot of my colleagues on both parties are like 100% in favor of what we're trying to do. But we don't have a similar bill. We have not met and worked out the details. And our rules chairman, who governs the flow of bills, who will be our next speaker, if all goes well, if we maintain a majority, will be our next speaker. He's convinced me it's a long session issue. We'll have a new bill that everybody can agree on, put it in committees, have more public input. We'll refine it with amendments, so if we have to, get a near perfect, there's no perfect bill, a near perfect bill that both chambers can agree on, and then we'll get it moving January, February, in the next session.
Great.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of promises in Raleigh, but that's what's going to happen.
Well, that's something to look forward to then. I think everybody just wants the HOA to be fair to everyone,
And
right,
reasonable.
Todd? Yeah.
I mean, just reasonable.
Yeah.
I get if somebody wants to paint their house purple and every house in the neighborhood is white,
Well,
yeah,
of
that's kind of an
course,
issue.
you know,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, this
I
fellow.
get that, but I've been in places, my wife and I even looked at a house, and when we got there, they wouldn't let me through the gate because I drive a pickup truck. No signage on it or anything,
Oh my goodness.
just a plain pickup truck, but they're not allowed in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my God, it's bad enough you're restricting the house. Now you're going to tell them what they have to drive?
Oh my.
What's going to happen when they come up and say, oh, everybody has to drive a Mercedes?
Oh my God.
Or electric car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
See if we can burn down the neighborhood charging cars.
That's terrible.
But-
Well, everybody, folks, keep an eye out on that, especially if you deal with an HOA the first of the year, right, Frank?
Right, we get sworn in, assuming we win. We get sworn in January around the 15th,
Right.
around my birthday. And then we get our bills moving early February.
Good deal.
Early
Good
February.
deal. Yeah. I think that you had another issue that you wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
But if not, I have a question for you. I would like to know, and if you don't want to talk about it, just tell me. I have concerns about candidates that are running in our state, but my biggest concerns right now are how they are being treated. And I think that the main person in that particular area would be Mark Robinson.
Yeah, we always knew that Josh Stein would have a lot more money and a lot more airtime because of that money, and a lot more dark money, as it's called,
Yep.
from groups that are not associated with him, that are to support him, the Planned Parenthoods, the Act Blue, different national groups that actually he and Governor Cooper have been running around the country raising money for these groups, and then, we don't have anything to do with them. They do what they want to do as far as commercials. And he's been able to slam Mark Robinson with things that,
Yeah.
in the days of AI, they can put me up there saying something I never said.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't understand how. I mean, this never used to be like this. I remember elections when I was a child, because my parents paid attention. Okay, they were concerned. Nothing like this ever went on, ever. We had more respect for one another, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I want to assure you that in the House of Representatives and usually in the Senate in North Carolina, I let people know I work in Raleigh, not in Washington. I'm not going near that place. But, but, and that's the way I say it. But we work together. On 90% of what we do is almost unanimous.
Right.
It's just good policy.
Yeah.
But we do have differences, and we do make speeches for the TV cameras. Sometimes them more than us, but it happens because we're in the majority and we get our way most of the time. But they like to, let people know how they stand, and they got the freedom to talk. But we work together, like on HOAs or a lot, sometimes on the budget. We had Democrats support our budget and help us override some of the budget things last year. We couldn't agree on the budget this year. The fact we're going back next week and override the mini budget to fund education and the ICE provision, which means sheriffs have to cooperate with ICE.
Right.
We use that bill to put a mini budget for education since the big budget didn't pass this year.
Right.
But we always have a budget. We pass a 2-year budget. We go back in the even year and tweak it. So we didn't get the tweaks in, but we were trying to get a mini budget. We're going to go back and override his veto. He didn't like the ICE provision, and he didn't like it that we had school choice in there, but the funding for public schools, traditional public schools, and community colleges is also in there.
Right.
So it's across the board, but he didn't like those two things, and he's got the veto pen.
I just wanted to bring that up very briefly. We have to pay some bills, but I do want you folks to think long and hard. No matter what you've heard, there are many, many reasons to vote the right way. So please do your research, do your homework, and do what's good for our country. And on that note, we will be right back.
I can talk about transportation.
What a great place we all call home, from colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law. Dana Varnum has worked as Assistant Register of Deeds since 2001. She is certified in every area of this office. She has graciously met the needs of her customers, which include from attorneys to the business community. Knowledge and experience are important to safeguard the vital records of our county. She believes in an open door policy for the public to voice their concerns. As Brunswick County continues to grow, the Register of Deeds office is directly involved in this growth. Dana is certified in deeds, deeds of trust, surveys, and passport manager, to name a few. To learn more about Dana, go to her Facebook page at Dana Varnum for Register of Deeds. She is a candidate who combines experience, education, and community commitment to this position. Vote Dana Varnum, Register of Deeds.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, folks, to All Things Brunswick. Our guest today is Representative Frank Iler. We've covered a lot of great things. And I think we have one more thing that we want to talk about briefly, and that is a big issue in this county right now, and that being transportation.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a history with the Transportation Committee and the Transportation Appropriations Committee, which is part of our budget. It's separate from the general fund, but the total of our whole budget is about $30 billion these days. It'd be $40 billion if we hadn't gotten the majority and started saving a little bit of money and cutting taxes. But the transportation budget is a little over $5 billion a year, about $2.5 billion for construction and $2.5 billion for maintenance. I get to help write that budget, So when I called DOT for issues, and I got almost as many issues for roads and bike paths and stuff like that as I do with HOAs. So
Wow.
I get a lot of issues about the potholes and so forth. And I can tell you there are 14 divisions in transportation, and we're Division 3 out of Castle Hayne. And each county has a district engineer. The division engineer is the boss of the whole division. And we have the most responsive division, I think, in the state. I've asked for things to be done, which are the simple things, not the big projects, things to be done. And the division engineer will come out to Brunswick County, look at what's going on, and if there's any way to fix it in a week or two, he'll have it fixed. It's
That's
patching
great.
a pothole or something. The guy broke an axle one time. He came looked at it 2 weeks later. The road was fixed where he broke his axle. But anyway, that's again, they're very responsive, and I mean every pothole you need to call me or email me. But and again, I can answer most of the questions. But most of my job is getting people talking to each other. People got big DOT issues. Developer with millions of dollars at stake, and DOT is disagreeing with what they should do. They talk and they agree on what compromise.
Right.
So that's my
That's
job. We don't run the executive branch, but we do write their budget, and we do have liaisons we can put you in touch with. Even DMV, we've got a liaison with them. And I just happen to know the commissioner well. I got his cell number, so don't tell anybody. But we have been able to work out a lot of things.
It sounds like, Frank, that you're involved in a lot of important issues, and we appreciate you. And I think folks probably want to learn more about you. So where can they go to hear more about Frank Iler?
Okay, every time we're in session, the next weekend I write a newsletter, and it's in the newspaper the next week, and goes out by email. So if you want to get on my email list, you can actually I can publish it through my office in Raleigh and through my campaign, but it's non-political. It's just here's what we did. And you can go to frank.iler@ncleg.gov. And that's the NC legislature, so ncleg.gov. Frank.Iler, it's I-L-E-R, and that dot's very important. So use that. And if you want to go on the website, www.ncleg.gov, look up any member, me or Charlie Miller, who's in Brunswick also, you've got that email address right there. And you've got our office number right there. And if I get an office call, my assistant is the best in Raleigh. She's been around longer than I have.
She's a doll.
And she handles things before I even know about it sometimes. But she will forward it to me if it's from the district and it's a legitimate problem that she can't handle automatically. Or she may just put them in touch with an agency and solve the problem. We had a guy that's been working on his father's veteran benefits for 2 years. In 18 minutes, she answered his email, gave him a phone number. 2 weeks, he had it,
That's
had it
great.
fixed in 2 weeks.
It's a matter of getting the right person.
She just got everybody's number. Let's put it that way.
Literally.
Literally.
Do you have a Facebook page or
I don't do Facebook personally.
Okay.
We post things.
right? Do you have a web site?
Well, we've got a campaign site.
Okay.
And we don't do business on that, and we don't do campaign stuff on my business.
Right.
So it's www.ilerforhouse.com.
Okay. And we are out of time, folks, unfortunately. This has been a great hour. I always enjoy having Frank come by and give us new information that we don't have. And I appreciate you, Todd. I know that a lot of these subjects today you were familiar with. Todd has retired from the DOT, so he's familiar with a few things in our county. And I thank you so much for being part of this. And Frank, thank you. We wish you the best of luck, and come back on the show whenever you wish.
Just let me know.
Okay. And folks, tune in next week for All Things Brunswick. go to our Facebook page. We have our own Facebook page. And comment. Let me know what you think. Help us get the word out that we are here for you and anything that deals with Brunswick County. Have a good evening, and thanks so much.